I just wanted to say something that I watched a piece of your appearance on Bill Maher's show.
Yeah.
And I found the way he spoke to you to be rather insulting. I don't need you to respond to that. It's more of a comment than a question. But are you a guy who enjoys smoking marijuana or breathing in marijuana?
Marijuana is very good for me, but I don't smoke weed.
Okay.
And let me explain why. It goes back to the coffee thing. Anything that brings me here, it's better for the people around me. Because I'm always like this. So I'm sure the people that work with me would like for me to smoke weed every day, right? But I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I don't listen. If you're smoking weed, that's nothing for me. I'm not somebody that smokes weed. Every time I've enjoyed it, but man, I haven't done that for God knows mid to late 20s last time. So mid 20s. Yeah.
I bring that up because for me, I'm a clean and sober guy. Like, it's very important that I maintain my sobriety.
How long have you been?
Approaching 16 years.
Get out of here.
Yes.
I knew you had. I didn't know it was 16 years.
I'm about to be sweet
Good
16
for you,
coming
bro.
up on
Congratulations.
it. Thank you very much. And there's nothing, like really, there's nothing that I value more than my sobriety. There's nothing more that I protect than my recovery. And I found it kind of upsetting when the Bill Maher podcast, which I saw you on, reached out, and they his thing is he smokes pot the whole time while he interviews people, and I said, hey, I'd happily go on there, but could he, while I'm on, out of respect for my sobriety, could he refrain from smoking pot?
He said no.
He said no, that's a deal breaker.
Wow.
And Mike Tyson's podcast is called Hotboxing. Like the whole point, like, be real. All of these prolific potheads, I've been on their shows, and it wasn't so important to them to blow marijuana smoke in my face.
I did not know that.
For Bill Maher, it was a deal breaker. And I found, and maybe that's why, whatever, you kind of see through the lens. So I watched you and the way you spoke to it. I could probably see him say the most innocuous thing and find it insulting.
You know, to me, you know how they say styles make fights?
Yeah.
You hear that phrase all the time,
sure.
right? So for me, I'm always, again, the benefit of growing up with when one of your relatives is multi-personality, bipolar, and you never know what's going to show up on any given day. You know what you'll learn very quickly? You'll learn to call audibles very quickly and adjust to whoever you're. Maybe that helped me out with sales. Maybe that helped me out with recruiting people from different industries to become insurance agents. And it's a challenge. So because when I sat with them, I'm like, I have no idea where this is going to go.
Yeah.
No idea. And then I felt like one insult, two insults, 3, 4, 5. I'm like, okay. So this probably was booked by his book, because his bookers loved me. Till today, they text me all the time, right?
Yeah.
And their booker said, Pat, we need someone like you with him because he needs to be challenged. Because his bookers are not necessarily same politically aligned with him. They're more true libertarians where they vote that way as well, versus Bill claims to be a libertarian, but an hour and 50 minutes into it, he just said, no, I'm a liberal, I'm a Democrat, that's the woman I vote for. Okay, great, no problem. So I'm a more libertarian, independent, fiscally, I'm conservative, capitalist, all of that. And so when we started talking, I'm like, okay, so this wasn't a guest you booked that you wanted to talk to. Somebody else booked this. Because when you got bookers, like any guest I have on the podcast is people that I want to talk to.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of one time I sat down with this guy who lived in space for 315 days and broke the record, whatever the time. You know who this person is. And, his brother's a senator in Arizona. So he comes down, he lands, celebration, world record. He lived in space. We have to do this interview. I'm like, how do you think it's going to blow up, tens of millions of views? Okay. We go do the interview. It's the shortest interview I've ever done. I think it was like 30 minutes, 40 minutes I wrapped up. I'm like, we got out. It did 40,000 views, 50,000. You know why? I have zero interest for space.
Yeah.
Zero. So for me, I realized everybody I sit down with has to be somebody I want to talk to. So the mobsters I talk to is because I want to talk to them. If I talk to the bodybuilders, it's because I want to talk to them. If I spoke to the criminals, it's because I want to talk to them. If I spoke to the CIA politician, athlete, Kobe, because I want to talk to them. The higher the level of me being interested in the guest always resulted in more views for the podcast, right? So I don't know if Bill was interested in, it's like, so I hear you're rich. You can already tell it's not him. Somebody gave him a one-pager, hey, this guy's got this kind of money and all this stuff. And so then I said, okay, I'm going to take a different approach. He's not going to let me talk. Every time I talked, he'd cut me off. If you count the minutes spoken, 90% of the time, he spoke. I'm the guest on his podcast, but he spoke 90% of the time. So then I said, maybe this is his form of therapy. I'm being serious. Yeah. I said, if this is your form of therapy, I'll play the therapist. No problem. Let's go through. So I'll just ask questions, and I'll sit there and we go through. And by the way, you know what happened to this podcast? Do you know that podcast, out of everybody he's ever had, no podcast he's ever done got as many comments as the one with him and I.
Well, comments, and then people were doing their own YouTube
reaction
videos
to it,
on reactions to your,
approach.
And they started doing that, and then Jillian Michaels was on after you, and same
She
thing.
crushed it.
She crushed it.
Yeah.
And
So I think we're on the same page, and I saw that, and I had feelings. I felt your guess. How do you get Tom Brady on your podcast?
So that's interesting. So Tom, this is an interesting step. It's the same way how we got Kobe. It's the same way how I got President Bush to attend one of our insurance conferences. So to me, let's just say you and I are in high school and you like Mary.
Scroll.
Okay. All right. But she is not fully aware of you or interested in you yet, right? The strategy is, there's many different strategies to take. If you just want to have fun with her, it's a different strategy. If you want her as a girlfriend, like a legit girlfriend, it's a different strategy. There's different strategies for this. And the one for wanting her to be your main squeeze, your girl, okay? We have to make a list of everybody that she trusts that has influence over her the most. Once we can identify those 3 to 5 names, we have to win them over. Once we win those 3 to 5 people over, then when you're there with any of those 3 to 5 being there, they're gonna be like, oh, frickin' Steve, I love him. Why aren't you guys going? Have you ever thought about Steve? Boom. Well, you think him and I totally see. I think you would love him. No. Yeah, of course. I never thought about it, Mom. I never thought about it, sister. Now, percentage of her going out and your job gets easier, right? So, okay, let's go back. I wanted to interview Kobe, and I started a small insurance company. I'm a diehard Lakers fan. Kobe's born August 23rd, 1978. I'm October 1878, so we're 6 weeks apart. Kobe traded for Vlade Divac, comes to LA, Shaq, three-peat. I'm a Kobe guy, okay? So I end up at one of my smaller insurance conferences. First year of being around, we could only afford to bring James Worthy out. So I invite James Worthy. And guess what happens? Fully hit it off. It was an incredible meeting. And connection right off the bat. And then afterwards, we bring, there's a Laker event going on where you're able to come and get a tour, and Shaq is speaking. This is when Shaq was asked the question in an interview, hey, where's your son gonna play in college? And Shaq says, he's gonna play for LSU, because he played for LSU. Why is he gonna play for LSU? Do you remember what he said? Mm-mm. He says, because LSU pays the most. Keep in mind, this is before NIL, like nobody, he would never pump. Shaq just said LSU paid him. That movie about him, remember the Blue Chip? It was not a joke. It was a real, true story. Nick Nolte, the whole nine. So I'm at that event. I'm a small timer. I don't create content. I'm just kind of like barely getting started, and our interviews are only for the insurance company to see. At that event, Shaq's there. Everyone's there. We're getting a tour, and then all of a sudden, James Worthy sees me. James like, yo, what's up, people? So now the Lakers are like, why is James talking to this guy like they're friends, and he's so comfortable with them? So then we invited Magic next. Magic checked with James. Magic attended the event. Then we invited Kobe. Kobe came. That blew up. Kobe and I, we ended up having a very good relationship. Obviously heartbreaking when the event took place. We all remember where we were at, totally devastated. And then after Kobe, Shaq and I got into it. Shaq was not happy with the question I asked when I said, hey, Kobe, who would Shaq have been if he had your work ethic. He said he would have been the greatest of all time. He would have 12 rings together, right? Shaq was pissed. He DMs me, says, what a stupid ass question to ask. Why don't you go run your small little company? And he blocked me. 2.5 years later, Shaq and I finally reconnect. I invite him to an event 2 years ago at MGM Grand Arena. We got 10,000 people in the room. And before we hit the stage together, Shaq's manager says, hey, I want to talk to Pat in the back, a guy named Adam, who's one of my guys that I book with. I go to the back and Shaq says, that was still a stupid ass question. I said, Shaq, that was a great question. Terrible question. Anyways, we do the event. It was a good time. Brady, Man in the Arena comes out. When Man in the Arena comes out, and my family, my kids are required to watch all these documentaries. Captain Jeter, Man in the Arena, Last Dance, Yogi Berra's documentary. Any of these things, you got to watch it because I want to get that fire in their belly, right? And sometimes these documentaries can do that for you. Anyways, we watch Man in the Arena, insane. I'm like, dude, I freaking want to interview this guy. So I get a hold of his good friend, Ben, whom Tom trusts. And I got introduced to Ben through one of my associates, Tom, who is one of our guys that was on the podcast, good friend of mine. His wife is very close to us, Shonda. So he says, hey, Ben wants to talk to you. We get on the phone. I said, hey, Ben, I want to rent out Foxborough, and I want to bring 95 of my executives, sales executives, and I want us to watch Man in the Arena for 2 days. I would like to get a couple Patriots who have played with Tom to be there so we can ask him questions. And Ben said, I'd like to be included. I said, I want you to be there as well because he's going to give the business side of things. So we rent out Foxborough. I take my 95 executives there. We watch Man in the Arena. Every episode we watch, then we go to the field. It's a very unique feeling. And then I brought these two Patriots. One was the center, I want to say, or an offensive line, and another guy was one of the linebackers. One played in the first 10 years with Tom. The other played in the second 10 years of Tom. And anyways, they come. For 3 hours, we did Q&A. One of the guys followed my content as well, so it was very easy to have the conversation with them. Then from there, we invited Tom to our big event that we did at Diplomat, and he came down. We gave him a big painting. I don't know if you saw the painting we gave Tom. You ever saw the painting?
Nah.
You have to see his reaction. This painting we give him he's on there from when he was a kid. If you type in Tom Brady painting, I don't know. There you go. Just go to images. Yeah, that's the painting. So see him standing right next to it. Go one more. I think that's the one. Yeah. So that's giving it to Tom, and it's him before. There's his picture, 199 draft, what he looked like right in the middle. And this was given to him, and we unveiled it in front of him, and he kept looking at it, getting emotional. Obviously, I respect the hell out of a guy that's willing to compete at this level for that many years.
Yeah.
So that's how the whole thing happened.
Do you like shopping on Amazon? I do. And good news is, Steve-O's butt wipes for your butthole are available on Amazon. And if you want a real bundle of a deal, you can get Steve-O's hot sauce for your butthole, plus Steve-O's butthole destroyer, and Steve-O's butt wipes for your butthole. It's the butthole bundle, available on Amazon right now.
Yeah, dude.